Hello, YouTube fans. Here again. And I figure why not talk about James Bond, but not just any James Bond, Timothy Dalton. Now, for people who want to know what I'm fucking blabbering about Timothy Dalton, I've always thought that Timothy Dalton was an underestimated James Bond. Shoot me with a dumb barrel, but I do. Now, people could always say that, he only ever did two James Bond films. So what? So fucking what? George Lazenby only ever did one. And he's another one who I think was an underestimated Bond. Where there's bits of me, right? There's bits of me what wonder. I've seen this on a lot of YouTube channels where they try to make out what it would have been like if George Lazenby would have done Diamonds Are Forever. And that's like me when it comes to Timothy Dalton. What it would have been like, Timothy Dalton, let's say, right, didn't just do two Bond movies. Because we all know, right, we all know in 1987, Timothy Dalton had his big break. He was going to do it roughly in 1968, but at the time, Timothy Dalton thought it was too long. So instead, we all know it got to George Lazenby. He only ever did one, went back to Connery. Connery said he was only ever going to do one more, then went to Roger Moore. And Roger Moore decided that A View to a Kill was going to be his last, and was looking for another Bond actor. And at the time, you remember me saying this already, originally it was going to be given to Sam Neeson. But then a lot of people at the time, Sam Neeson, there's a lot of different things. Just go back on the days when I said when Sam Neeson was going to be Bond. Then originally it was going to be Pierce Brosnan. Look at the history, you know that as well. He ended up doing Red and Steel, but he had his big break in 1995. But let's just say, right, at the time, I go into an Ultra Lotus like Michael J. Fox, and I at the time, and let's just say, right, that MGM weren't having this particular argument because I remember sticking up. For Timothy Dalton when I did License to Kill with him, saying he was not the problem. It was to do with the studios. I'm not going to get too much into it. They're taking it to court, arguing the fights of who was running the company of Bond, right? It was all this went on for this, went on right through to the early 90s. By the time it got settled, Timothy Dalton was almost Roger Moore's age, and he felt, well, it's pointless me doing any more Bond movies now. How many can I do? Because they fucked around that much. So the blame is not on Timothy Dalton. I say that the blame is not on him. Fact, if all this shit never have happened, in 1991, Timothy Dalton was going to do another Bond movie, and I even know the name. The name is going to be called Property of a Lady. Now, if you think you've heard that before, it was mentioned in the Bond film Octopussy, where it was mentioned Property of a Lady. So what they was going to do was they was going to call the next Bond movie after License to Kill Property of a Lady. I've heard rumours of what the story was going to be like. Maybe it's a bit, there's other bits I thought was a bit interesting. Now, a lot of people had the problem that Timothy Dalton was more dark. He wasn't as humorous and didn't have as much of that British humour as Roger Moore did. But I like that. I like that. The thing is, nowadays, people moan at Roger Moore, there was too much comedy, there was too much humour. But Timothy Dalton made it back darker, made it more serious. Didn't try to act like another Sean Connery. Wasn't trying to act like a Roger Moore. He made Bond his own. So why is that a bad thing? People nowadays base Channel Tay that is more serious, is more darker. But if you don't, oh no, that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Now let's show let's show Ryan. I never pronounce his name right because the actor that played True, may rest. He originally said on an interview that the most James Bond actor to play it more like the book version of James Bond, the book, not the films, was Timothy Dalton. And I've got to admit, it was. After I seen License to Kill, I don't think, right, I love Roger Moore. I praise Roger Moore, but I don't think Roger Moore would have pulled that off as well as Timothy Dalton did in License to Kill. Name as any other actors. Maybe Connery could have pulled it off. And I don't know, maybe Pierce Brosnan or even Channel Tape. I just don't think Roger Moore would have pulled that off. someone going on a vendetta, being from the Secret Service. I think Timothy Dalton played it brilliantly. He went on a personal vendetta. It was over his friend, and I like that. And it was a different gnome, and I think Timothy Dalton did it. He kept serious. There was humour. I admit there's bits, right? And even in Living Daylights, the first Bond movie he did, Timothy Dalton is not good with the one-liners, the stitty stuff. Like Connery could do it in a darker way, like in Doctor No. Oh, make sure he doesn't go away. Or the bit in Thunderball where the Bond gets shot, the villain Bond, and he says, "She's just dead." He can do that in a darker way of being stitty. Watermore can do it more the humorous way. He can come out with a one-liner just like that. But Timothy Dalton, nah, same as George Lazenby. George Lazenby had the problems with the stitchy one-liners. I mean, the only thing from the laughs and giggles is the opening. This never happened to the other fella. Yeah, I get it. Stay away, Sean Connery, nod at him. I can get that. But other bits, it felt a bit first. Timothy Dalton, it felt a bit first. Like it was first, it was full on. So that bit, I would be a bit thingy with Dalton, but being serious, having that look like he got an head, he has definitely got the license to kill, you don't want to fuck with him. He's brilliant at that. As a lover, I've never once seen him in a bed scene with a woman or a love scene. There's a little bit in License to Kill, but not as much. You never see him in a bed scene. But again, I felt maybe Property of a Lady or maybe the other Bond films like Timothy Dalton would have stayed as Bond. Who's to say they wouldn't have done a bed scene? They could have done, you know what I mean? And so on. And I do know after Property of a Lady that he was contacted, Timothy Dalton, to do just like Roger Moore, 7 more Bond films. And there's a bit of me what I'd love to see Timothy Dalton, what he would have been like had he would have done 7 more James Bond films. That means a bit of me what would have been like had he would have done Property of a Lady. Then the next Bond movie I felt would have been GoldenEye, even though some people say it was very similar story to The Living Daylights. There's a bit of me what would have been curious what it would have been like had Timothy Dalton would have done Tomorrow Never Died, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day. Would it have been a better film if he would have done it? Maybe not. Because I always felt that was more of a remake of fucking Diamonds Are Forever. Satellite, laser coming down. What does it sound like? But nevertheless, even though I like Pierce Brosnan, I don't mind Pierce Brosnan. Before I forget, you don't like Pierce Brosnan. Rewind back, I like Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan, again, made James Bond his own. Didn't down about like Roger Moore, wasn't down about like Sean Connery, wasn't down about like Timothy Dalton, made it his own. But I would have loved, been curious what it would have been like if Timothy Dalton did a lot more Bond films, because he was not the problem. He was not the problem. MTM took things to court with United Artists and who was winning the rights of Bond. They took it to court that much. They fucked around that much that by the time Timothy Dalton got to the next Bond movie, his art wasn't in it because they fucked around that much. So he was not the problem. Timothy Dalton was not the problem. And there's a bit of me what I'll always say, I would have been curious. Timothy Dalton would have done 5 more Bond films after License to Kill, what would have then been 7 Bond movies. Think about it. Property of a Lady, GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day. That would have been interesting. I would have been interested to see that. Because I think Timothy Dalton, he had an head. Yeah, he wasn't as good as the one-liners, like I just said. I can't have got the bed scenes because he only ever did 2 Bond movies. So you said the next Bond movie is going to be more of a lover and not a shooter. But nevertheless, I think he's doing good. I like License to Kill. I think The Living Daylights is also a good film. It was a good opening for Timothy Dalton. He made it more serious. He put it more into depth. So in my eyes, people might love me or hate me for saying this, but I've got to admit that Timothy Dalton, in my eyes, just like George Lazenby, is an unestimated James Bond. He's an unestimated James Bond. It's like you go to George Lazenby And people would have given him a shit time, and you wouldn't listen to his stupid fucking agent who did him the most shittest advice ever. That Bond is going to die in the 70s, don't do any more. And he listened to his heart and said, fuck it, I'll give it a go. People are bound to like me. And the movie would have been higher in ratings for On Your Majesty's Secret Service. There's a bit of me that would have been chorus to see Diamonds Are Forever would have been like a George Lazenby said, no, I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to do one more, or I'm going to do 5 more. But it's not to be. That we would have had Roger Moore if that was to be, but I like Roger Moore. But I always say it, and I always mean it, that in my eyes, Timothy Dalton, in my eyes, is an underestimated James Bond. What do you do then? Be smart, be safe. See you later.